Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Retro Review. My name is Richard Brooks, aka the Blue-Eyed Geek, and this is the third part in our look at the genre films of the 1980s. This video tonight was supposed to be filmed on a flip digital camera, but unfortunately it's cocked up, so we're back to normal webcam. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I may have to get a new flip camera, so please pity me. I also thought I'd go for a laid-back approach tonight. Some people may comment that I look stoned. I'm just very relaxed, and I couldn't be asked to sit up and look presentable. Now, in the last couple of weeks, we looked at horror and fantasy. Tonight, we're going to look at science fiction with Flash Gordon from 1980. Flash Gordon was produced by the late Dino De Laurentiis, who passed away a couple of weeks ago. This video is a tribute to him. He produced some of my favourite genre movies in the 1980s, such as Conan the Barbarian and Dune, which I'll be taking a look at in the next couple of weeks. Now, Flash Gordon started off life as a comic book strip in the 1930s, created by Alex Raymond, and he sat alongside other heroes such as Superman, Batman, The Shadow, The Phantom, and Buck Rogers, in a time where the American public in the Depression really needed a hero. So Flash Gordon and the others really filled that gap. Flash Gordon was then brought to life a couple of years later as a series of movie matinees. The practice behind that would be they'd film an entire story and show it in weekly 5-minute gaps. So they would always end on a cliffhanger, and the audience would always wonder what was going to happen next. No waiting 2 or 3 years, Mr. Cameron, for an Avatar sequel. It was done in a week. So the character of Flash Gordon back then in the serials was portrayed by Larry Buster Crabbe, who would go on to portray Buck Rogers in movie serials. And they worked out pretty well. They gained a cult following with the nation, and over the years he became a comic strip, a full comic book title, and a animated series in the 70s produced by Filmation, who would become the creators behind He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. The movie rights to Flash Gordon began in the mid-70s as well, when George Lucas wanted to do a Flash Gordon movie. He was denied the rights and decided he'd go off and do his own little sci-fi fantasy adventure. We all know how that turned out. So Dino De Laurentiis decided to grab the rights for himself, and he was coming off the back of the King Kong remake. So he tapped screenwriter Lorenzo Semples Jr. to bash out a draft, and he decided he'd go ahead and make it with British director Mike Hodges, who was best known at the time for his gangster film starring Michael Caine, Get Carter. He would later direct Croupier, which would star Clive Owen. Now, Flash Gordon is your typical good versus evil hero's tale. Flash Gordon is an American football player who, on the way home from his holidays, and due to start up his new term again with his football team, I think it was the New York Jets actually, he's on a charter flight with reporter Dale Arden, who's a particularly leggy, beautiful woman. They're flirting on the flight, she's got a fear of flying, he's taken a few flying lessons, so, he coaxes her through the flight pretty much alright. You can tell from the first moment the guy's going to get some. And due to a freak meteor storm, the plane crashes in the laboratory of Dr. Hans Zarkov, a disgraced scientist who used to work for NASA, and believed that all the frequent weather we're having, like meteor storms, hurricanes, volcanoes erupting, they're all due to alien influence. Zarkov kidnaps Dale and Flash and bundles them into a rocket ship aimed at the source of the signal itself, and they blast off into outer space and crash land on the planet Mongo. When I say planet, it's more like a dimension with floating realms, each belonging to a prince, and all overseen by the ruthless Ming the Merciless, portrayed by Max von Sydow. Ming the Merciless decides that he wants Dale Arden for himself and takes her for his wife. Flash Gordon, being the hero, decides, mate, I saw her first, she's mine, and in a particularly stupid display of heroism, brands himself an enemy of the state and is put to death in a gas chamber in probably one of the most homoerotic scenes of the film, where he's led to the gas chambers in nothing but a pair of tight black leather Speedos. Gay. But he's later brought to life due to a traitorous doctor who injects him with some sort of serum that brings him back to life. The doctor himself is banging Ming's traitorous daughter Aura, who believes that Flash is a symbol of hope that the other nations of Mongo can rally around. So takes Flash to his lover, Prince Baron, portrayed by Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton is a tad bit jealous and decides to have off with Flash and kill him. Prince Vultan, the leader of the Hawkmen, decides none of this is going to happen, takes them both to his floating palace in the sky, and in a trial by combat, Prince Baron realizes that Flash is equally matched to him and is a symbol of hope. So Prince Baron and the Hawkmen rally around Flash Gordon and decide to get rid of Ming the Merciless. That's a story in itself. It's pretty much simple. You know the hero's going to save the day and get the girl. Why bother telling you any more of the story? I have the film here on Region 2, Silver Anniversary Edition. Sorry for blinding people with the light there. It's got a commentary by the director Mike Hodges and also a commentary by Brian Blessed, who portrays Vultan. It's one of the most memorable roles in the film due to Brian Blessed's blusterous portrayal of the character. Now, the film itself has a score by the rock band Queen. Now, at the time, studios thought that if you're going to sell a soundtrack album, you may as well have a rock band on them. Flash Gordon is quite unique in the way that Dino De Laurentiis thought, yeah, great, let's get a rock band on the soundtrack, but I'm going to take a chance and go with this little-known band. Now, Queen at the time hadn't broken America, and Flash Gordon would be one of the stepping stones into their break in America. They would later contribute to the soundtrack albums for Iron Eagle and Highlander. And like the Rocky Horror Show, Flash Gordon has a barrage of songs which are particularly well known. I think everybody knows the lyrics to the theme song. Flash, savior of the universe. Excuse me. The reason the camera's wobbling as well tonight is because I have it on my lap. But back to the review. The sets were done by Federico Fellini's regular Danilo Donato, who takes his flamboyant nature and puts it into the film. The sets and even the look of the film itself comes right out of the page of Alex Raymond's comic book strips. If you look at the samples of the comic book strip in the title sequence and what was brought to the screen, they're very similar, and I haven't seen anything this similar since 1990s Dick Tracy it was. And in both of these films you can see similarities between the comic book strip and the film, and it's almost as if the comic book strip has come to life. Now, a lot of reviews of films say, oh, it's a comic book strip come to life. Flash Gordon literally is a comic book strip come to life. The acting in the film is not that great itself. It's very camp. In fact, the whole film is one big exercise in camp, and I think this has contributed to its being a cult classic over the years. The film itself stars Sam Jones as Flash Gordon, Melody Anderson as Dale Arden, and there aren't very many memorable actors in it. The four memorable actors in it are Max von Sydow, who portrays Ming the Merciless in probably one of his most evil roles. He really eats up the screen. And there's also Brian Blessed, who portrays Prince Vultan, with his memorable line, "Gordon's alive!" There's Richard O'Brien, who was from the Rocky Horror Show, and Timothy Dalton, who portrays Prince Baron. He would later go on to become James Bond. Another Bond link to this film is the Israeli actor Topol from Fiddler on the Roof, who portrayed Columbo in For Your Eyes Only, the Roger Moore Bond film. I don't really have much to say about this film, except it is one of my favourite films from the 1980s. I remember one Christmas Eve, my parents took me round to one of their friends, and my parents were being very social, and I was sitting there watching TV, and it was the premiere of Flash Gordon. I think it was Christmas '82, actually. And I thought, oh, this looks interesting. But no, my parents dragged me away before I can see the entire film. Luckily, they'd videotaped it for me. Now, at the time, video players were very expensive, and my grandfather, God bless his soul, he'd bought the family the video player. And I really credit my grandfather with introducing me to film, because he videotaped stuff like Battlestar Galactica, Flash Gordon, Star Wars, and Buck Rogers so that I could watch them. And so, grandfather, if you're up there watching, thank you very much. You've made me a very happy film geek over the years. Now, Flash Gordon itself is probably one of the greatest cult films, or cult films of the 1980s, mainly because of its soundtrack by Queen, and mainly because of its performance by Brian Blessed. These two factors contribute to its camp factor. I'm not saying it's a gay film. If anything, it's one of these bad films that everybody loves and is always on the Christmas TV schedules. So, as I said, I've really got nothing to say for it except that it's got a great sense of set design, brilliant theme songs, wonderfully over-the-top performances, and it's so bad it's enjoyable. Now, next week I'm going to be taking a look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, and what I'm going to be doing as well is, in a few weeks, I'm going to be doing a video interview with myself on the films of the 1980s, and what I'd like you to do is send in your questions to me. At the end of the video you can see how you can do that. So in the meantime, hail and farewell folks, and I hope you have a pleasant evening. Take care now, and God bless.